You might be sharing your life with a woman who has already betrayed you emotionally, yet you can't even see it. She's there beside you. She says, "Good night." She still slips into your bed. She eats at your table. But her soul is no longer yours. Her passion, her attention, her desire, they belong to someone else. And still, you tell yourself it's just a phase, that she's confused, that if you try harder, she'll come back. But no, she's not confused. She's decided. She just doesn't want to admit it yet. A woman rarely tells you straight out that she no longer desires you. Instead, she leaves breadcrumbs, soft little phrases that sound harmless but cut deep. And if you don't know how to read them, they eat away at you from the inside. That's why I'm here today, to reveal those phrases, the hidden signals a woman gives when her heart has already drifted toward another man. When she has one foot out the door, but still wants you to be the one who carries the blame, so she can justify what comes next. I won't rely on sentiment or excuses. I'll rely on the raw psychology of the female mind, on years of listening to women confess what their partners never knew. And I'll rely on the unshakable wisdom of the Stoics, because once a man learns to separate the woman of value from the woman of deceit, no one can use him again. In this video, you'll discover the 7 most dangerous phrases that reveal when she no longer chooses you, even though she still lives in your home. If you recognize them, you'll stop being the last to know. I'm not here to comfort you. I'm here to wake you up. Because if you don't take control now, someone else will take it from you. Before we dive in, tell me your name and where you're from, and share what challenges you're facing in your relationship so I and the community can support you. Now, let's begin the journey. Phrase 1. I feel disconnected, but I don't know why. Have you ever heard a woman say to you, "I feel disconnected, but I don't know why"? And instead of questioning the words, you dropped your head. You thought it was your fault. You believed you had failed. You convinced yourself that if you just tried harder, sent more texts, gave more time, sacrificed more energy, she would come back. But that line isn't innocent. It isn't a gentle request for attention. It is the quiet opening act of abandonment. And here's the brutal truth. It didn't begin today. It started long ago. You just refused to see it. This is the first phrase every man must recognize. When she says she feels disconnected, she has already begun to shift her gaze. Those eyes that once looked only at you are now wandering towards someone else. Your hands no longer thrill her. Your words no longer reach her. She doesn't wait for your message anymore because her desire has already crossed over. Her body may still be next to you. She may still touch you. But her soul, her energy, her fire, they're gone. They already belong to another man. And here's the darkest truth of all: she knows exactly what she is disconnected from. It isn't confusion. It isn't mystery. She is disconnected from you, from your strength, from your scent, from the masculine presence she once admired. Why won't she say it outright? Because saying it would force her to face her own betrayal. So she disguises it. She camouflages it. She hides it behind a soft, spiritual-sounding excuse, as if she's on a private journey of self-discovery. But in reality, she isn't traveling inward. She's drifting outward, away from you, closer to someone else. This is the psychology no magazine will tell you. The reality women don't admit out loud. An intelligent woman doesn't walk away all at once. She does it in stages. She drains you emotionally while keeping the illusion that she's still present. She keeps you in limbo, begging for her attention, while in truth, you are already competing with a man you cannot see, an invisible rival who already exists in her desire. Understand this clearly. I feel disconnected is not a beginning. It's an ending wrapped in soft words. If you hear it and think it's your chance to win her back, you've already lost, because she no longer sees you as the man. Now you are just there. And for a woman, that is the emotional death of the bond. So if you've heard this phrase recently, don't ask her what's wrong. You already know. Don't try to reconnect. She isn't asking to rebuild. She's asking for permission to leave without looking like the villain. She wants you to keep supporting her emotionally while her passion burns for someone else. If you don't set a boundary, if you don't cut it there, you become the man left behind in slow motion. The man who believed the fairy tale of disconnection, when in truth it was already her farewell. A woman who says this is not confused. She desire, yes, but not you. And if you don't face that reality, if you don't rise with clarity and strength, you'll be the last one to realize you are no longer in her story. You're only in her routine, and in that place, there is no desire left, only pity. Phrase 2. I need time for myself. When a woman says, I feel disconnected, it's already a warning. But when she follows it with, I need time for myself, that's no longer a warning. That's the verdict. And here's the truth. Most men refuse to face. This phrase isn't innocent. It's not about growth. It's not about emotional maturity. It's a mask, a cover-up wrapped in the language of reflection. And the man who takes it literally is already losing. This is the second red flag you must see clearly. I need time for myself is the most recycled phrase in broken relationships, and its real translation is brutal. I want the freedom to explore another man without guilt. Painful, yes, but true. And if you tell yourself it means anything else, you're lying to yourself. I've heard it from countless women in consultations. When a woman asks for space, she's not heading to the mountains to meditate. She's not retreating to find her inner child. She's already thinking of someone who excites her, someone who makes her tremble. And it isn't you. What she wants is not time. What she wants is permission. Camouflage. A margin of freedom where she can test her new life without severing the old one. And you, if you're not awake, become the fool. You nod. You say, I understand. You promise to wait. Wait for her. Wait for a woman who is already gone in spirit. And while she experiments with freedom, you stay chained to loyalty. That's not love. That's self-betrayal. That's losing your dignity. Stoicism never taught men to rationalize deceit. It taught men self-control, to see reality for what it is, to act with reason, not desperation. So what does a Stoic man do when he hears this phrase? He doesn't argue. He doesn't beg. He doesn't humiliate himself. He looks her straight in the eyes and says, take all the time you need, but don't come back. I am not a second choice. That's strength. That's self-respect. Most men can't say it because they've been dulled by years of routine, comfort, and fear of being alone. So they cling to crumbs of affection, excusing her betrayal with lies. She's stressed. She needs to find herself. No, she doesn't need to find herself. she needs to test someone else. And that, my friend, has one name: promiscuity, emotional, and often physical. So remember, when she asks for time, you don't lose her. You save yourself, because the man who gives time doesn't gain love, he loses respect. And once respect is gone, nothing you do will matter. Phrase 3. Not everything has to be physical. A woman doesn't always leave by walking out the door. Sometimes she stays right there beside you. She hugs you. She smiles. She even sleeps in your bed. But deep down, something is gone. You feel it. You can't describe it, but you know it. That missing piece is desire. And when desire dies, it doesn't make noise. It doesn't announce its exit. It cloaks itself in excuses. And one of the most deceptive excuses of all is this: not everything has to be physical. Here we arrive at the third dangerous phrase. Think carefully. She never said those words back when her eyes were full of hunger for you. She never whispered that line when she kissed you without reason. She never defended intimacy with philosophy when she undressed for you without shame. Back then, passion spoke for itself. She didn't have to explain. So why now? Why this phrase? Because today her touch feels like duty. Her kisses lack spark. Her body is present, but her intimacy is absent. She hides the truth behind a spiritual-sounding excuse. Not everything has to be physical. Yes, of course, not everything in life must be physical. But when a woman truly desires a man, she doesn't need to rationalize closeness. It happens naturally. It is sought out. It is initiated. It is enjoyed. If she has to justify it now, it's because the desire for you is gone. Here's the cruel twist that phrase makes you question yourself. It makes you believe that you're the problem, that you're shallow, that you're needy, that you're demanding too much. But you're not asking for more than what used to flow effortlessly. You're simply asking for what once defined your bond. And now it's no longer there. Why won't she admit it? Because admitting it means acknowledging that her body is already waking up for someone else, that her fantasies no longer involve you, that her passion is being redirected mentally or physically toward another man. And this, brother, is one of the hardest truths a man can face. It's not only rejection, it's deception. She denies you touch, but pretends everything is fine. She talks about connection beyond the body, as if that's enough. But you're not her therapist. You're not her emotional support buddy. You're her man. And if she stops desiring you physically, then in her eyes you're no longer that. You become the provider, the companion, the father figure, everything except the man who excites her. This is where Stoic wisdom must cut through the illusion, to separate what seems from what is, to see the difference between excuses and reality. If you accept this phrase at face value, you become complicit in your own downfall. You agree to live as her brother, while another man enjoys her as a lover. And here's the truth. Many men don't want to hear if you stay and accept it quietly, telling yourself it's just a normal stage of life. You are betraying yourself. You are silently saying you'd rather live with someone who no longer chooses you than face the emptiness and reclaim your power. That's the beginning of the end, because nothing humiliates a man more than touching a woman who has already given herself away, even if only in her mind. So the next time she says, "Not everything has to be physical," don't argue, don't beg, don't justify. Look at her in silence with the eyes of a man who knows the truth. Desire is gone. You're no longer in her fire. And if you choose to stay, you're not choosing love, you're choosing to live as her shadow instead of becoming your own light again. Phrase 4. You've changed. 2. After she tells you, not everything has to be physical. Don't expect reconciliation. What usually comes next isn't closeness. It isn't honesty. It's withdrawal. Quiet. Subtle. She starts disappearing emotionally, step by step. And the justification she uses is one of the oldest tricks in the book. You've changed too. Think about what this really means. It doesn't matter if you're still providing. It doesn't matter if you're still supporting her, still working, still showing up. None of that matters anymore. She needs an excuse. She needs a phrase that makes you share the blame. So she says, you've become cold. She says you've grown boring. She says you're distant. Why? Because it balances the scales in her mind. It gives her a defense, a ready-made alibi. That way, if one day you discover there's someone else, she already has the story I didn't want to, but you weren't the same anymore. This isn't a plea for change. This isn't a request to fix anything. It's a shield, a strategy, one of the most destructive games a woman can play when she's already halfway out the door. And if you're not careful, you'll fall right into it. You'll start apologizing for things you didn't do. You'll feel guilty for simply being steady while she was falling apart inside. You'll convince yourself that her infidelity, emotional or physical, was somehow your fault. But it wasn't. It never was. Here's where you need masculine clarity. Not guilt. Clarity. A Stoic doesn't accept blame blindly. A Stoic looks at intention, not just words. And the intention behind "you've changed too" isn't growth, it's escape. If you don't recognize it, you'll lose your dignity defending yourself against accusations that were never true. You'll accept the false idea that your coldness pushed her away. You'll swallow the lie that your routine justified her choosing someone else. But this isn't about you. It's about her emptiness, her fear, her desire to feel alive again without taking responsibility for her choices. That's why she blames you, because if you're the problem, she gets to play innocent while giving her heart, or her body, to another man. So what do? You don't defend. You don't beg. You don't explain. When she says, "You've changed too," you look her in the eyes and say, what few men dare to say, "Yes, I changed. I grew. I stopped tolerating what I used to. I'm no longer the man who stays silent while being betrayed with sweet words." That answer cuts the game. That answer forces her to look in the mirror. Because in that moment, you stop being the guilty man, and you become the man she cannot manipulate anymore. And when you break that pattern, you gain something more valuable than her approval. You gain yourself, your center, your power, your ability to choose who enters and who leaves your life without apologizing for it. Yes, you've changed, but for the better, because you no longer allow anyone to dim your light just to cover their own darkness. Phrase 5. I don't want to talk right now. I'm tired. After she tells you, "You've changed too," I don't expect closeness to follow. What comes next isn't intimacy. It isn't honesty. It's retreat. Quiet. Subtle. A slow disappearance dressed up as exhaustion. And she justifies it with a phrase you can't easily argue against. I don't want to talk right now. I'm tired. Notice when she says it, it's always at the end of the day, when you already feel strange, disconnected, uneasy. You try to open the door. You ask if everything is okay. You ask if she wants to share what's wrong. And without raising her voice, without even showing anger, she cuts you off with those words, I'm tired, as if physical fatigue were more important than the fracture growing between you, as if silence could heal a wound that's spreading inside the relationship. You know it's not just tiredness. You feel the change. You feel the distance. Her eyes don't see you the same. Something has gone dim. So you retreat. You tell yourself, okay, we'll talk later. But that later never comes. Not because she's waiting for the right moment, but because she doesn't want the moment at all. She isn't tired of the routine. She's tired of pretending she still cares. Here's the cruel part. She's not tired with everyone. If someone else texts her, she lights up. If another man makes her phone buzz, suddenly she's awake, alive, smiling. Her energy isn't gone, it's redirected. She's not exhausted in general, she's only exhausted with you. And you, trying not to be pushy, wanting to be understanding. Stay silent. You give her space. You give her time. But in truth, you're giving away pieces of yourself. Each time she says, I'm tired, what she really means is, I don't care enough to talk to you. I don't value you enough to spend my energy here. Psychology has a name for this progressive disengagement. She doesn't slam the door all at once. She lowers the temperature slowly. She makes you invisible one day at a time. And while you're busy trying to be patient, someone else begins to occupy that space. Someone she does want to talk to at 11 p.m. This is the moment where you must act with strength, not with pleading, not with sweet words, with presence, with firmness. The next time she says, I don't want to talk right now. I'm tired. Don't answer with softness. Don't say, I understand. Look her in the eyes. Wait a few seconds. And then say what you don't want to talk about now. Don't explain to me later, because I get tired too. But I don't hid. And then walk away. Not emotionally, physically. Leave with dignity. Because a man who insists on staying where he's no longer wanted doesn't look noble. He looks pathetic. And you are not here to beg. You are here to be respected. Never confuse silence with respect. Sometimes silence is nothing but cowardice. If you accept it passively, you'll become the man who grows. Used to, I'm tired like it's a prayer. While another man is the one keeping her awake late into the night. Phrase 6, I don't know what's going on with you. After she says, I'm tired, you might expect more distance. But what comes next isn't silence. It's closeness. Not real closeness, but a trap disguised as intimacy. And this is where she whispers the line that disarms so many men. I don't know what's going on with you. At first, it sounds innocent, almost sweet, like she's confused, like you're the one throwing her off balance. But don't be fooled. She's not confused. She knows exactly what's happening. She feels the pull. She feels the desire. And she doesn't want to admit it, because admitting it means acknowledging betrayal. So instead of saying, I'm drawn to you, She hides it behind uncertainty. She calls it confusion. But confusion is only the mask. This phrase is one of the most effective psychological moves. Why? Because it flips the roles. It puts you in the position of the guilty one. Suddenly, you feel like the provoker, the source of the chaos, the reason she feels what she feels. And if you're not strong, you'll fall for it. You'll think, this is something special. This is unique. This must mean something. But it doesn't. It's not magic. It's not destiny. It's a pattern repeated again and again by women who don't dare face their emptiness directly. They prefer to fill it with the energy of a man who still believes in illusions. Picture the scene. You're standing in front of her. She looks at you differently. Her tone softens, almost childlike. She drops the phrase, "I don't know what's going on with you." And just like that, your rational mind switches off. You stop thinking. You stop observing. You just feel. That's the danger. In that moment, you stop being the man with direction. You stop leading. You start reacting. You wait instead of deciding. You hang on every gesture, every word, as if they were proof of love, but they're not proof. They're hooks. And if you bite, you lose. You lose your clarity. You lose your strength. You lose yourself in a story that was never yours to begin with. This is the contradiction so many men live in. He wants clarity, but he gets tangled in ambiguity. He wants respect, but he feels excitement at being used as an emotional escape. He wants a real woman, but he gets trapped with someone who only pretends to feel alive. And what's left at the end? He's alone, confused, drained, wondering if it was ever real or just a fantasy wrapped in soft words. Remember this, "I don't know what's going on with you" isn't innocence. It's manipulation. It's not sweetness. It's a test. And if you don't have Stoic clarity, you'll take the bait. But if you stand firm, if you see through it, you stay in control, because she knows exactly what's going on. The only question is, do you? Phrase 7, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." After weeks, maybe months, of distance disguised in soft excuses, phrases like "I'm tired" or "I need space," a moment arrives where there's nothing left to hide behind. She doesn't want to argue. She doesn't want to explain. She doesn't even want to pretend anymore. Instead, she drops the most poisonous phrase of them all. "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." At first, it sounds poetic, almost noble, but in reality, it is an execution, an emotional death sentence disguised as compassion. She says, "I love you," like she's handing you a blanket, so you don't freeze from the cold truth. And then she tears it away with, "I'm not in love with you." It's the most subtle way she can say, "You don't excite me anymore. You don't move me. But I don't want to look like the villain as I walk away." This is where so many men break, because they start asking themselves impossible questions. How can she love me, but not want me? How can she care about my well-being, yet dream about another man at night? How can she value me as a person, but recoil from my touch? That's the trap. The phrase doesn't mean she loves you. It means she pities you. She doesn't want to hurt you, but she doesn't want to stay either. So she keeps you half alive in her world, like a plant she no longer waters, but doesn't pull from the soil. I've heard this line countless times in consultations, and it always shows up when the woman has already crossed the emotional line elsewhere, when her body no longer answers to you. But guilt keeps her from being fully honest. So she throws out this polished dagger. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. She wants you calm. She wants you to believe there's something left. But there isn't. What remains isn't love. It's nostalgia, justification, and the faint hope that she won't feel guilty as she moves towards someone new. This is the point where men often lose themselves. They try to resuscitate a dead fire. They cook meals, show affection. They neglected before, but it's too late, because love isn't revived by effort. It's sustained by connection, and if her connection has already shifted to someone else, you could build her a palace, and she'll still look at you as if you were just furniture. Here is where Stoic wisdom cuts through. Never insist where you are no longer welcome. Because insisting isn't devotion, it's humiliation. And a man who humiliates himself to hold on to a woman who no longer desires him loses far more than her. He loses his self-respect. He loses his essence. He loses his strength. So the next time you hear, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, don't answer with sweetness. Don't say, we can fix this. Look her calmly in the eye and respond, then don't love me at all, because I wasn't born to be loved halfway. Then walk away, without tears, without speeches, without hesitation, because a real man doesn't compete with ghosts. He leaves before becoming one himself. She doesn't love you. She only remembers you. And memory doesn't ignite. It doesn't build. It doesn't sustain. If she's no longer in love, she's already gone. And if you refuse to see it, then you're gone too, reduced to nothing more than a shadow waiting in a story that no longer belongs to you. If you've made it all the way here, there's no turning back, because now you've heard the truth. Now you know the exact words a woman speaks when her desire for you is gone, when she no longer chooses you, when she has already started leaving, even though her body still lies beside you at night. If you ignore this knowledge, you are not naive anymore. You are a willing accomplice in your own downfall. Not every I love you is love. Not every I need time is confusion. Many of these phrases are nothing but camouflage tools to leave you slowly while keeping their conscience clear. And if you let yourself stay blind, you will not just lose her, you will lose yourself. I've shown you the 7 phrases that are never accidents. Each one is a sign, a crack in the bond, a warning that she's already halfway out the door. If you've heard them, there's no excuse left, no reason to beg, no reason to keep knocking at a door that only opens for others. Understand this. This isn't about hating women. It's about seeing reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Only a man who understands the female mind can stop being a victim and start becoming the author of his own story. That is what Stoic wisdom teaches us. Do not cling to illusions. Do not humiliate yourself for temporary comfort. Take back your power. Take back your clarity. We are not here to cry over what's been lost. We are here to protect what can still be saved. Your self-respect, your strength, your future. Now, I want you to take action. Comment below with one phrase, I refuse to fool myself anymore. Tell me where you're watching from. Because it doesn't matter the language or culture, when a man finally wakes up, everything changes. If this message shook something inside you, Don't just walk away. Support this brotherhood of men who choose clarity over illusion. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you never miss the lessons that change lives. And share this with a friend who still crawls after a woman who no longer respects him. He needs this truth as much as you did. And before you leave, choose the next video that appears on your screen. Pick the one that makes you uncomfortable, because in the discomfort lies the exact truth you need to hear